Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and today we are finally doing an episode on a movie that has been long anticipated, as it is a year delayed, and was anticipated before that, In the Heights.
In the Heights, which is a Lin-Manuel Miranda original production and directed by John M. Chu.
Of Crazy Rich Asians fame.
Yes. And I'm just going to go out there and just say it. This is probably one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. It sucked that we had to wait for it,
Sure.
but I'm so glad we finally got to see it.
Yeah. And I'm glad they waited. It wouldn't have been, it's such a celebratory movie.
Yeah.
That it would have been, at least now, I can go see it with my friends who are all vaccinated at last, and some of our theaters are open again. I can go have a social experience watching this film, which it really is built for.
Yeah.
It would have been so sad to just be able to watch it on HBO and then have to sit alone in your living room about it.
Yeah. No, truly. This is definitely a group experience.
Well, it's a movie all about celebrating community and home.
Yes.
You need to be able to have access to your community in some way. As you may or may not be able to hear, probably not. I feel like Ian does a pretty good job editing it out. We are once again joined by Maya the puppy.
She is our third cast member of this podcast. She has a lot of good input on different movies. She watches them all with me, or at least sleeps next to me while we watch them, so that she can be rambunctious during the recordings. She saves up all of her energy. Yes,
she's ready.
No, I've said it a bunch of times, and you've corrected me every time. But I've always said that I'm not a big musical fan.
Yeah. Are you convinced yet?
I'm starting to think I'm convinced.
I think you're just not a big Rodgers and Hammerstein man, which is fine. Because a lot of shit in those is bad now.
Fair enough. But I don't know if it's just Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Sure.
Because he has the special sauce for me.
He has the special sauce to usher in a new genre of Broadway. He is to now as Jonathan Larson was to the early 2000s with Rent, which introduced the rock opera as Broadway show into, actual accepted Broadway culture.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you.
Sorry, I'm being played with by Maya. She would like me to play back.
All right, Maya, you go lay down. Go lay down, Maya.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's secret talent is code switching.
Yeah.
He was raised in New York in this actual community. This movie is about where he grew up and still lives. But also, he has very educated parents who exposed him to a lot of classic musical theater. So he understands both worlds and is able to bring them harmoniously together to get all of the, let's be real, the main Broadway audience is rich old white folk.
Yeah.
So he understands both languages well enough to bring the rich old white folk into his world in a way that isn't offensive to them. They don't feel accused, because who is gentrifying these neighborhoods that we're talking about in this? It is the same people who are buying those Broadway tickets.
Right.
But he's speaking in such a human and real and non-accusatory way that he's able to bring everybody to his table without, without making it feel like he's pandering to the white folks so that his community can't understand, or feeling like he's talking the white folks down so that they don't feel well. He's got the code switching down so well that he can do it so seamlessly that everyone understands what he's saying.
Well, and I think that was one of the biggest things that I loved about this movie, was that from beginning to end, you're right, it's a celebration. The biggest conflict in this is a daughter not wanting her father to sell the business so that he can continue to send his daughter to college.
Right.
And it's like, talk about having conflict over love. You know, like the conflict, like it's conflict, you know, and of course, you know, Usnavi's plot line is the main focus, but like that, in my mind, watching it was the biggest conflict, and it was the most dramatic conflict, like at the dinner.
Right.
But like it was expressions of love that didn't quite translate
Right.
well, and that's where the conflict was that it was misinterpreted and mistranslated shows of affection.
Sure.
And I don't know, just from beginning to end, this was a hopeful movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'll step on I'll say this, I cried
Oh yeah.
at this movie. And like at the end I cried because this wasn't just a happy movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say this, and it's going to take a little bit of describing it for me to get across.
Also, I feel like this might be a good juncture to spoilers for both
spoilers.
the movie and the Broadway show.
I mean, the Broadway show's been out for a long time, but I'd never seen it. But
Broadway
yes.
is one of those things where you need a spoiler alert because it is only accessible to those
Right.
with means.
Right.
So you can have the soundtrack and not really know the story of the show.
That is true. But
I don't think it's ever irrelevant to
No.
spoiler alert a stage show.
that is fair. That is very fair. But what I was about to say was that I feel like this was a spiritual movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, not in a religious sense,
Yeah.
but in like human spirit, your spirit. And like I felt convicted at the end that what's my dream? Like what's
Sure.
my little hope?
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know, just by the end of it, I don't know, it made me really kind of sit back and think like, God, what am I putting my all into? And is it worth investing into
Right.
my little hope, you know? And yes, it is, you know? And I don't know. It was a very convicting, but also Jesus Christ.
Sorry, guys, a truck drove by the house.
What's up, puppy dog? What's up?
That's a wall, dude.
You okay, pup?
She saw a very threatening truck out the window.
Yeah, that was a scary truck. You're fine. It was probably driven by our local witch.
Ah, probably.
Yeah. All right, go out. Go. Get your toy. Go. She's a good dog sometimes when she's not
When you're
barking.
not trying to get silent noise in the room.
When she's not barking directly into the microphones. That's going to be a fun audio spike when I'm editing these things. But yeah, it was just a convicting, hopeful movie, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was it was very different from the Broadway show in specific plot points. But it kept the heart of it so well that it doesn't feel different when you're watching it, despite there being many differences. You know, like Nina had a mother, and that character was kind of merged with Abuela Claudia in the movie. So some of the things that the mother did were given to Claudia. Her song was cut because there's only so much time in a movie.
Yeah.
So there were several songs that were cut, which you expect.
Yeah, well, I mean, most Broadway productions are in the 3 to 4 hour range, right? With the intermission or
Somewhere around like 3 is pretty average.
Okay. And this wasn't a short film. It was 2.5 hours.
2:20, I
Yeah,
think.
2:25 or something.
Sunny, there was no undocumented plot in the musical because it was made in 2008. That wasn't the forefront of the conversation at that point. There, in 96,000, the line about Tiger Woods being his caddy was originally Donald Trump. And boy, did they cut that right out. I mean,
Yep.
because culturally it wouldn't mean the same thing anymore if they
No.
said, Donald Trump and I on the links and he's my caddy. It's a completely different statement nowadays
Right. Yeah.
than it would have been then. Gosh, there's many things that are slightly different, but none of them mattered. You know, the spirit of the story was preserved so well through the changes that they made that it didn't
Gotcha.
matter.
Good.
To me, anyway. I'm sure someone's having a fit about some stuff. The cut songs are great songs. They always are. You know, but
Yeah. Well, and something that I noticed in the end credits is that In the Heights, though it's essentially Lin-Manuel Miranda's hometown, it was originally a book. It was originally written or by someone other than Lin-Manuel Miranda.
no, book means words for a Broadway stage.
Okay.
So the woman who wrote the book wrote the dialogue parts
Gotcha, okay.
of the stage show.
Gotcha. So then that makes even more sense because she wrote the
She wrote the
screenplay
screenplay.
for this movie.
Yeah.
And so having that continuity
Yeah.
between the stage production and the screenplay of the film, I
Mm-hmm.
think really helps make that jump
Yeah.
to fit to the
Because
screen.
you have the same voice telling the
Exactly.
same story, just with a few different beats in there.
Exactly, yeah. I thought a burp was about to come up and then nothing happened.
See that in your posture.
So you are a dancer.
I was a dancer.
What
Let's
was
go
it?
ahead. I was
Was
a
a
dancer
dancer.
100 pounds ago.
Oh. The choreography of this movie blew me away in multiple
Sure.
ways, but the biggest one was the complexity of the dance moves and the amount of dancers they had on screen.
Yeah.
At times, there was over 100
Yeah.
dancers dancing in a single scene, and that blew me away how many people they had in this production. Like, it
Yeah.
felt like a city block.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like 12 people on a city street doing something. It was the town
Yeah.
doing the production.
One of the things that was done really well about this movie by John M. Chu is he speaks the language of like the big movie musicals of the past so fluently through his directing style that this will sound weird, but this was clearly the most classical movie musical we've seen in decades.
Yeah.
Like, the content and the language it's told through is very modern. You know, the hip-hop style is very new to Broadway. And the dance is obviously not Fred Astaire, but there were so many elements that if Fred Astaire were here now, you could see him involved in something like this. The language of the movie making, the cinematography, the framing was so classic movie musical, which I think is another way that this story will be accessible to more than, I mean, it's another way to bring the old white folks in.
Yeah.
Because it's so digestible if you're used to watching musicals, if
Oh,
you
totally.
if you've watched The King and I, here's one that's not racist. But you'll still understand the cinematic language of.
Right, right.
And back to the dance aspect that you're talking about and non-racism in this film, they worked so hard on the choreography, making sure that when they were representing a different island, especially in Carnaval de Barrio, the different, like Cuba and Dominican Republic, they worked so hard on making sure that those were authentic and actual, like, Dominican dance moves were going to be recognizable to the Dominican people watching the movie, etc. There were like 7 or 8 associate choreographers just working on specific forms because there's so many styles of dance in this.
Yeah.
You have the styles from all the different countries represented, and then you have like very specific actual neighborhood-centric styles of dance happening in Uptown New York right now that they wanted to capture and put on film. Then you also have, like, especially in like 96,000, in Nina's section of 96,000, you have some more classical, more like almost ballet style dance. You like,
Right, yeah.
There's just so much happening. If you have any like dance literacy, if you understand the different modes of dance, there's so much to pay attention to.
Right. Well, and the carnival scene was one of my favorites because of that. And there's a point where the camera rotates several different times, and it like gives the spotlight to the specific, and you see the people with the flags dancing in the back. And it tells you, okay, this is a Puerto Rican dance. This is a Dominican Republic dance. This is a Cuban dance. And like, it literally just gave each of them a good 10 to 15 seconds of just like bask in this.
Yeah.
Like bask in how cool this is. All right, now bask in this. And it just went through it all. And it was just like, by the end of that scene, I was just like,
Do you know how long they had to film that scene?
how long?
That 8-minute dance number? 1 day, sun up to sundown. If they didn't get it in that day, it had to be out of the film.
Seriously.
And they got it. Yeah.
Seriously.
1 day.
That's insane. A 1 day shoot?
1 day shoot for an 8-minute dance number.
An 8-minute dance number with at least
lot of complexity.
70 to 80 extras
Yeah.
that are doing highly stylized choreography.
Well, they had a, like 10-month dance boot camp. They trained it up like very seriously because a lot of the performers in the lead roles are not dancers.
No, yeah.
And they were dancing in this show. Like,
Well,
you know, a lot of the times their choreography was not watered down.
But, I mean, you've got some, like Anthony Ramos. He's a good dancer. Like,
Yeah.
not like professional, but like he's
Well, I mean,
danced in
yeah.
Broadway.
Yeah.
You know,
That,
but
that makes him professional.
yeah.
But he's not
Yeah.
a dancer. That's not his main focus in
Yes.
his art.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Is that that's not his
Yeah,
focus.
yeah. I got you. I was just
But
being
like
shitty
you're
for
right.
no
Like
reason.
they were essentially theater. They're actors.
Yeah.
And they were doing some intense like salsa and just amazing dances. I don't know. A single day. That's nuts.
Yeah.
For like
That makes me so sad with some of the productivity I have.
I'm telling you, this is a convicting movie, man.
For so many reasons.
But like there are film shoots for dialogue scenes
Yeah.
that take 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indoors, lit,
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing an outdoor shoot in 1 day, but an outdoor choreographed dance number with that many people on screen. Wow. Wow. Just wow. That's
I mean-
amazing.
Sorry if you hear the dog's horrifying mouth sounds right now. This will probably sound shitty to people. I'm sorry. I believe it honestly. Dancers are a different breed of performer. Mm-hmm. You will get more done when your set is full of dancers.
Yeah.
That is the mode that they are trained into their whole lives. They will be getting this done. It will be perfect, and it will be done today. So when you have a set full of dancers and all of your extras are dancers, and they're not really extras because they're your dancers, but you know what I mean.
Right.
When everybody in the scene is a dancer, things are just going to happen a little faster because that is the mode they're trained in.
Well, it's like that one thing that I brought up a few episodes ago about Chris Evans, how all the stunt actors love working with Chris Evans because he has a history of dance. Like he knows how to dance. He was a tap dancer, and he was like, yeah, when we're doing choreography with him, he's the smoothest person to work with because he knows.
Yeah, he has
How
a
to
body
dance.
awareness.
Yeah.
He's aware of what he needs to do to get his body to do different things.
And so they can do their shots with Chris Evans so much faster than everyone else because he's a dancer. Yeah.
So if you have little kids, put them in something physical. Dance, martial arts, whatever they're into. Give them that advantage in life of knowing how to move and interact with their own body. I'm not kidding, and I'm not trying to be cute. Like, being in dance for 12 years was like the best gift my parents gave me because I know what to do. You know what I mean? It's so helpful in presenting yourself to the world to have an awareness of how to move your body. So if your kid has any interest in anything that will teach them that, sports as well. You know, like anything athletic and physical. Let them do that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's not to that same extreme, but like, because I never really did, you know, any dance or martial
Sure.
arts or whatever. I did a little bit of sports, but marching band
Yeah.
really, it didn't give me like upper body awareness,
Sure.
but it gave me full body physical awareness where I know where my body is compared to other people.
Right.
And it's been really nice because I'm a bigger guy
Sure.
that I know how to get through situation like
Yeah, you
crowds.
have strong spatial awareness because
Yeah.
that's what marching band is, especially with our director.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, we were doing some
Suicide drills.
major league stuff in our drill.
Nothing like sprinting backwards with 75 pounds worth of drums
Running
through
through
two
a-
different lines of people.
Running through a 5-foot gap between 2 rows of tubas while flying a flag around in circles, hoping you're getting the corridors right.
Oh man.
Anyway,
I almost killed someone on one of the practices. I think it was Sierra.
great.
Because I had a 4-foot window to go through,
Sure.
and my drums had a 3-foot wingspan.
Right.
So if I was off by 6 inches or so, or
Yeah.
they were off by 6 inches, and I hit him right in the gut,
Oh,
and
God.
it dropped him to his knees, and it launched my drums above my head. And then they came back down and hit me in the gut, and we both just fell to our knees and just had to sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes to get our breaths back.
Man,
Good times.
fun.
Would never want to do it
Fun,
again,
fun.
but wouldn't trade it for
Can you
those
imagine?
memories for the world. Geriatric marching band.
I mean, people do it. There's senior corps out there. It's not my thing.
Nah. I would need to get in so much better shape than I am now, and good luck with that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of sitting since I got out of marching band.
Oh man. Anyways, we should probably get back to the movie.
Probably.
Something that I actually watched about this movie when he was first creating when Lin-Manuel Miranda was first creating the concept of In the Heights, he was actually told to darken it up.
Yeah.
And he actually fought back a lot and ended up being able to go with his vision of
Yeah.
not having, gangbangers and stuff in it.
Right.
And that just made this feel so much better. Because I don't know what it is. I think the media these days requires a certain amount of darkness
Well,
in it.
I mean, it's part of the systemic racism in our culture. You're
Yeah.
allowed to have purely hopeful white stories. There are not a lot of purely hopeful stories for a lot of races out there, and people
That's
are
true.
starting to change that. In the Heights was a step towards changing that for the Latinx community. A sorely needed step. It's insane that that doesn't happen naturally. I mean, if you look at the percentage of actors on Broadway, like some ridiculous, like 4% are Hispanic roles,
Jeez.
which is insane.
Yeah.
That is not in any way reflective of the population of the United States.
No.
In any
all.
way. We're in California, so we have a large Hispanic population that has surrounded us our entire lives. 4% is an insane number. That would be if there was like one Mexican kid at our high school.
That'd be, yeah. No.
That's insane. It makes no sense for the culture we actually live in. But since Broadway is put on by rich white men,
Yeah,
and
especially
the
since
other people
our-
that they're around are rich white men who are earning the same as them, it's representative of their world.
Yeah.
And that is unacceptable. We need to be working on this, and we are.
We are.
Baby steps. We need to use our whiteness power to boost stories like this so that they become financially viable for the more powerful white people, and they want to keep telling them.
Well, and it also doesn't hurt when the content is of such high quality and
Oh, yeah.
caliber that this is.
Definitely.
There are very pointed and powerful things out there that I tell people you need to watch it because it makes a great statement, but
Yeah.
their production quality isn't necessarily the best. This, I can easily just be like, hey, watch this. It is phenomenally written, directed, and acted.
Yeah.
And I can sell it in that manner.
Sure.
And then they'll get the message byproduct of it, you know?
There is. Did you watch that Howard Ho video yet?
I did.
Yeah. I'll put it up on a link to it on Patreon about the way Lin-Manuel Miranda crafts the thesis of this show, basically, in the first 3 minutes of the first song,
Yeah.
and how that makes it this welcoming space for everybody, and sort of the ways that he has done that. That's really good to sort of understand really the intense code switching that Lin-Manuel Miranda does in all of his writing. Howard Ho also has a really great series on Hamilton that y'all should watch if you're interested or you enjoy the video on the Heights. There's so much work that frankly, I don't know if he knows he's doing it or not. You know, like, he seems to have grown up in this sort of liminal space between the two cultures he's trying to, the many cultures he's trying to rope into a thing.
Yeah.
But if you're breaking it down technically, it's so much work he's doing for everything he writes.
Yeah.
It's insane. Of course he's gotten the genius cred. He is a genius. It's insane.
No, I just kind of want to sit back and just chat about Lin-Manuel Miranda, the person.
Sure.
Because he is an anomaly to me. Because he's so weird.
Okay,
But like,
go on.
But like, in a completely reasonable and an endearing way.
Yeah.
Like, he's like all the extremes. Like, if you think of a band kid, a drama kid, a literature nerd, and you take all the best qualities of each of them and then like shove them into a single person, that's who I see him as.
Total nerd.
Yeah.
A hip hop head. A rapper. He's
Yeah.
all of the things in extreme. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
But it's the positive qualities
Yeah.
of them. And I don't understand how a person can be that.
An improv
You know?
artist. Have you seen his Freestyle Love Supreme stuff?
No.
The improv rap group he's in with Christopher Jackson and some other people.
Jeez. He can do improv too?
Yeah. I mean, first off, you can view a sampling of these skills on Jimmy Fallon's done several sections with
I
him
have
where they do the
seen
improv rap
those,
stuff.
Yeah.
Have you seen the clip of him reacting to Weird Al's Hamilton Polka? Because he's also a huge Weird Al fan.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you need to. It's heartwarming.
Really?
It will make your little heart happy.
Well, I mean, this movie already did.
No, yeah. Most interactions that I have had with the presence of Lin-Manuel Miranda online generally have been heartwarming.
Yeah.
There were years, where he would write a good morning tweet and a good night tweet every day.
Just a sweet person. And I don't know, like, he is so talented in a non-traditional way.
Sure.
We talked about this earlier about his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is such a phenomenal singer, but his voice is so weird.
Yeah. It is.
To the point where I can't even necessarily put my finger on what about his voice is weird to me,
Sure.
but it is. And when I hear it, when I hear him sing, it's not automatically, oh, that's gorgeous. It's a, oh,
Yeah.
ah.
Sure.
And then at the end, it's a, well, that was cool.
Right.
Kind of thing. So I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, we all know anything he's in, I'll be running to see.
Right.
He announced he was going to be involved with his Dark Materials series years ago, and I went out and bought the books just because I needed to read the story before I obviously watched the show.
I
He
still
was
need
producing
to watch those.
it.
I still need to watch those.
And he's directing his film directorial debut is coming out soon. I believe it's a Netflix film. It's Tick Tick Boom. It's Jonathan Larson, the guy who wrote Rent, one of his shows. They're adapting to a movie.
Interesting.
And
so
he's directing that.
that'll be interesting seeing what he does, like interpreting someone else's voice.
Yeah.
You know? Because he does a great job of visually interpreting his own voice.
Well, he has a team for all of his own productions.
That's
I've never
true.
seen anything that he's directed. I'm sure he has a lot of input. He is the writer. He is generally starring in his own shows.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way he's not got ideas on the table that are in the
Right,
show.
got
But
it.
I don't think I've ever seen anything that his like directorial style has been applied to. So I'm excited. I
Yeah,
wanna
I'll be.
see.
I mean, I'll watch it. I mean, I'm sold on Lin-Manuel Miranda, so I'll watch it. Something that was brought up that was very interesting to me, and I think it was in that Howard Ho video, was that In the Heights is going to be going toe to toe with I'm totally
West Side Story.
Story
Spielberg's West Side Story.
for Oscars.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Here's the thing. And I hope I'm wrong, but almost everything I've seen about West Side Story has been almost a shot-for-shot recreation of the original movie. And I don't need that. The original movie's still good. It still holds up. It has
Right.
some moments, but the story itself is a timeless enough story. You know, it's Romeo and Juliet. It's a timeless enough story, and the way it's told isn't so dated in the original film that it's like, we can't watch that anymore.
Right.
And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're doing something new and interesting to make it worth spending so much to make a really big Spielberg movie, and that they're just advertising it with classic shots because it's a great hook.
True, yeah.
But if it's just a remake, I don't know that it'll stand a chance against In the Heights.
Yeah, well, I mean, that could be exactly what the guild wants.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know, like,
you never know. It's all
I-
kind of political. But I have no idea. But I'm hoping that that West Side Story is not just a shot-for-shot remake of the original.
For our
I mean, it'll be
viewing sake, I agree.
undeniably beautiful, whatever it is.
I mean, just by the trailer shots alone.
But
it
I really
looks
hope
gorgeous.
it's something new. There's like a breath of fresh life breathed into the story instead of just a remake.
Right. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. When is that one coming out?
December, I think.
December. Okay. Gosh, so that's going to be competing with Spider-Man. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that they're really
They are
most
in
competitive
the same
markets.
market share.
I mean, I know my grandma's going to want to see both of them.
It's like, do-do-do-do-do, Spider-Man. Wait, what? No, this is
mean,
going to be an interesting Oscar
These
season.
two stories are intrinsically tied together because the reason Lin-Manuel Miranda has often cited that the reason he wrote this is because that he can't dance well enough to be a shark, and that was the only role for him on Broadway.
So
he wrote a show to give roles to himself. And,
Yesterday
you know,
was a
his
very
people.
long day for me.
Great.
I'm very tired and
Okay.
I'm in pain from all the work I did.
Great.
Yard work. My brain was stuck on Spider-Man and trying to figure out how
Spider-Man,
In the Heights-
Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark, and In the Heights are intrinsically linked. They are not.
there was a good 4 or 5 seconds of okay, they're both set in New York. Yeah, okay. Where are we going with this?
Spider-Man and Lion King were directed by the same woman. Chris Jackson was in Lion King, was in The Heights. Done. I did it in so few steps.
Kevin Bacon, that shit.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Gotcha.
All right. I'm sold.
Intrinsically linked.
In the Heights is Spider-Man 3, and the next one is going to be Spider-Man 4. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, they cut him out of all the shots. He's just outside the frame, but he's there,
Yeah, I saw him.
keeping the
In my
audio
heart.
safe. I'm so sad now.
New York is such an interesting set piece. And what I liked about this was that it was a realistic portrayal of a fantasy New York.
Sure.
Specifically, like in the scenes where they weren't dancing or singing, it was very real. It was
they filmed
realism.
it on location.
Yeah, well,
in Washington Heights.
I'm not saying that they were on the sets, but
Yeah.
the feel of
Yeah.
it felt very grounded, felt very real.
Right.
But as soon as a song would start,
Yeah, that's
there was
that
almost like a
classic
switch.
musical
Yeah, and
language.
like it started very subtle,
Mm-hmm.
but by the end, like they're dancing on the sides of buildings, which that
There's
scene
a behind the
blew my
scene
mind because I
featurette on that.
think I know how they did it based off of one little snippet where they slide a little bit.
I do know how they did it.
Did they
I watched the
genuinely
featurettes.
build the side of a building and rotate it?
Well, they built the side of a building on hydraulics.
Oh dear God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
at first I was like, okay, so he leaned forward and okay, so they could have easily done like a hidden cut.
I was
yada,
doing
yada,
the
yada.
same thing where I was watching it and I was like, the gravity has changed like 4 times in this dance number.
Yeah, and so like
There's a featurette on HBO you should watch.
okay, I'll watch it after this. But just the way they get onto the side, I was like, okay, that could have been very clever editing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've seen people do more with less.
Sure.
You know. And then there's like a few times where like they stand on a rail, but they're leaning a weird angle. It's like, okay, that's what? And then they lay down and they kiss and slide back to their original place. And my brain just went, oh dear God, what just happened? And like,
Yeah.
I literally had to sit there. I literally paused the movie and like had to work it through my brain. It was like, the only way they could have done this was that they legitimately built that,
They had a wall.
the wall with the windows and all that and had it on a rotating or lifting hydraulic system. That was cool.
Yep.
Ah, so cool.
Yeah, that's one of the like John M. Chu was very clear that this was a big budget movie. They were doing this big or they weren't doing this. Like this needed to be the MGM Grand full experience musical.
I love it.
Yeah. It was great.
Man. Now I really want to see the stage production of
It's
it
really
because
I mean,
from everything that I've heard is it like what you were saying and what I've heard from other people on like YouTube and stuff like that is that it is different. But I don't know, like it's like Hamilton. I've seen it on Disney Plus, but I want to see it live, you know? Like,
well, I mean, In the Heights won the Tony in 2008. So it's nowhere on Broadway or in a Broadway adjacent tour, but it's produced all the time at local theaters.
gotcha.
If I hear of someone doing it, I'll let you know.
I would like that because I mean, one, there's a different energy
Yeah.
with live
Definitely.
theater, you know, and it's just so exciting. And it might actually get me into live theater musicals, you know.
At last.
Oh man,
And the sign that we are in different places in our musical journey, I yelled at last just because it made sense in the moment, but my brain automatically switched to "my arm is complete again" as soon as the words "at last" came out of my mouth. So that's my brain.
oh man. At last, my arm is complete again.
Do you know what that's from?
No, I have no
It's
idea.
from
what
Sweetie Todd. When he gets his
when he
razors
gets his
back.
razor, yeah. Oh my gosh, you're such a nerd.
Yeah. I've never tried to deny that once in my life.
Man,
Oh, fun. The dry cleaner was Patrick Page, who was another Broadway great.
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Have you heard of Hadestown?
Mm-hmm.
He plays Hades. He's got like a real deep bass voice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. I saw him and I was like, hey, it's you.
Yeah, and that was another thing, kind of going back to the gentrification, where they didn't make him the villain.
Yeah. He
They
was
made
a nice guy with
yeah.
an overpriced dry cleaning shop.
Yeah, it was just his prices were a little rough. That was it. But like his interactions with Abuela were always respectful and kind. Like he was a good person.
Right.
That may be charging a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But like
He was a good person who was moving into the wrong neighborhood.
exactly. And like the overarching theme I thought was so well done that it was the villain was gentrification.
Sure.
Or not even just gentrification, but the erasure of culture.
Sure.
And whether it's being replaced or not, just
Right.
Losing yourself, losing your culture.
Yeah, losing your family traditions, like
Yeah, and I don't know, it was such a breath of fresh air to have that,
yeah.
I don't want to play the woe is me, poor white guy thing, but it is a little tired of being the bad guy,
Sure.
But seeing him, I was like, oh no, he's gonna be an ass, and I was like, oh no,
Not an
he
ass.
was being
just
super sweet, like he
sort
was
of not.
he was genuinely amazed by her
Yeah.
things, and he just gave her the price that he would have given to everyone else, and
Yeah.
she just couldn't quite afford it at the time, or didn't know if she wanted to afford it yet. And like, okay, so he's just
It is implied that she went back and paid
exactly, yeah,
for it, which breaks your heart a little. That
Absolutely.
scene when you watch her unfolding Nina unfolding the napkins at the end. Damn, I couldn't afford $117 for dry
God,
cleaning.
no. Yeah, when he saw that, literally my wallet hurt. I was like,
Yeah.
oh God. But like every scene with Abuela,
Yeah.
just tore my heart out. But the scene where he's about ready to leave and he opens up that little chest and it has the lottery ticket
Yeah.
that just says for Usnavi.
So did you know the plot of this at all before? Okay.
So that reveal that he stayed,
Yeah. Total surprise.
total surprise. And
Because
I
people
loved
who
it.
know the show were freaking out when trailers started coming out and he was narrating from a beach, and they're like, wait, what's happening? I don't like this. He stays. Why is he on a beach? What have you done? You've ruined everything.
No, so when the little girl said, "No, keep telling us, Daddy."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so how? Okay,
My brain was doing gymnastics the whole time. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so maybe he's visiting the islands.
Yeah,
maybe this is just a vacation. This was like Daddy, and I was like, how does this fit? How does this
it's like, well, it was like as the his relationship with oh my
Vanessa.
gosh, Vanessa was like getting closer and closer to like fruition.
Sure.
It's like she's not
Wait,
going to
but-
leave.
wait,
She's
but-
not going to go. How are they? Is he going to leave and then come back? Like what is? And then that reveal that
Yeah.
he's been in the bodega the whole time. It was like, oh, okay, got it.
And they had the little like bright lime green crab in like one of the first sequences on the beach. I've seen this movie 3 times now. It came out 3 days ago. I've watched it once every day since it came out.
Sonny's green
Yeah, Sonny's
crab.
bright green crab is in the beach scene scuttling over rocks at the very beginning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, the crab.
I loved Sonny.
You have the Broadway cast pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the character on the screen, but on the he's back there in the corner with Abuela. Because of stage casting, you can get away with a lot more of an age gap between the actor and the character.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice to see how young Sonny is in the movie, because he's played by 20-something, like everybody in the Broadway
Right.
show, and the age gap just doesn't isn't as apparent. It's implied that he's younger. I really enjoyed seeing him as that, like he's in high school. He's a little baby.
Yeah.
It suited the character really well, especially with his activism angle. I mean, his rap in 96,000 is the same, but the plot with him, doing all of the rallies and all of the dreamer activism and stuff and being undocumented is all new to the movie. And that is the generation who is involving themselves in this. So it was really nice to have the actor clearly of that generation so you could see the age of the character very clearly.
Well, and that scene, too, broke my heart when the activist talks about, not being dreamers or the undocumented people not being able to go to college. And, like, he had asked, could you, like, what'd she say? And just that heartbreak of, like, I wanted to be like you. Like, I wanted to go to I wanted to leave to college. And I was just like,
Yeah.
that literally, I just felt my heart just get ripped a little bit.
Yeah.
All the acting in this was so stinking good.
Yeah.
And the three salon girls.
Oh
were
my God.
Hilarious.
Ian, do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I've seen a few episodes and I recognized.
It was so disorienting. as soon as I recognized her, I was like, oh my God, it's Detective Rosa Diaz. What's happened to her? She's such a different character. It was so disorienting.
The only thing, whenever I think of her from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, is her with the dog. It's like, if anything ever happened to this puppy, I would kill all of you and then myself.
I mean, she did great in this role. It's every time I saw her, I was like, gosh,
man, I can't sing enough praises for this movie. It was just so
sing
good.
your praises, Ian.
No. There's a reason I played drums. That is the extent of my musical abilities. My singing, I'll dance when I cook, and I'll drum when I hear a song, but singing, not so much. But man, this is a good movie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
And the backstory of his name.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Usnavi.
Yeah.
His dad seeing a powerful warship with U.S. Navy on it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to name my son that.
Yeah.
That's such a...
great.
I love that name, though. Usnavi.
Yeah, it's good.
It's such a good name.
I bet that there are kids named Usnavi all over the place these days. The story's been around for so long now.
That's true. 2008. Oh my gosh, that's 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, that's when we graduated.
Yeah,
high
I was
school.
waiting for that one to say.
We're old. Why
Yeah,
are we
we're
so
old.
old?
I don't know, something to do with the progression of time or whatever.
That's bullshit.
Okay.
Tell it to stop.
Hey, time. Knock it off, would ya?
Man. No, that was... I realized I was getting old this morning. Because yesterday, doing all the... Because my brother came over and we kicked butt, doing all the yard work. And we get it all done in about 4 hours. And, like, I was sore. We... Yada, yada, yada. And I went to bed. I should have taken some ibuprofen before I went to bed. But I woke up this morning at, like, 6:30, 6:45. And I was like... why am I awake? And I went to roll over and my back just went, no. I was like, okay. So literally I just laid there flat on my back in excruciating pain for about 30 minutes until I gained the courage to just grip my bed and pull myself up out of bed. And then spent the next 2-3 hours just medicating and two, just stretching out my back, just trying to loosen it up. And now I'm just walking around like an abuela, just kind of got that solid back. But man, I'm too young and too old for this at the exact same time. And it's not fair. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was my morning.
that sounds fun. My morning wasn't pleasant either,
Yeah.
but I can't tell you why.
Gotta love it. Man. So yeah. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about in the Heights?
Sorry, I just blew right into the microphone. Probably, but I can't think of it. I'm sure as soon as we stop recording, I'll be like, oh, and also.
Yeah. No, there's been many times, many episodes where literally I'll hit stop recording. And it's like, oh, here's literally 3 things that I wanted to bring up. But yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I wanted to also bring up was just the same thing I've been bringing up this entire time, was that it just struck such a unique chord with me. You know, spiritual, emotional, you know, everything about this movie. Just, I literally I went on a drive afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was like, I mean, it's a pushing 3-hour movie, 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
And so the sun was setting, and I felt at peace.
It definitely gets you thinking about, culture, heritage. I'm only 4th generation. But my family ditched all their culture. I have nothing. The Silver Bell Foundry that is in my family's name in the Portuguese Azores is still functional.
Really?
But I have no scrap of culture left from that. Because they came to America and did not do this. They left it all.
Gotcha.
Became American. That is it.
Yeah.
So it really gets you thinking on those lines as well.
Yeah. Wait, so you're 4th gen?
I'm 4th gen. I had to go back and be like, Mom, is this right? This doesn't seem like it seems like I must be further removed because there's nothing left. But she's like, no, yeah, 4th generation.
I'm 5th gen Californian.
Yeah.
Like, my family has been in America since I think 1702 or 1703. My grandpa did a full lineage. Like, my family has been here.
Oh, on my dad's side,
ever.
we've been here since the 1750s.
Gotcha.
My dad's side has been here a long time.
Yeah.
They've been part of the problem forever. But my mom's side of the family, she texted me the exact stuff. Yeah, 5 generations ago, we were back in Sicily and the Portuguese Azores.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane, yeah.
But I know nothing of Portuguese culture or Sicilian culture at all. I got none of it.
Hey, all I know...
I am American as fuck. I got none of it left.
I know something about your culture. Never get into a conflict with a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Yeah, so remember that, Ian.
That's why I've stayed friends with you. I've not crossed the line to enemy yet. My grandfather did a huge lineage thing, and we found out that we're kind of related in a way.
Yeah. Back on my dad's side, way back in Scotland, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your ancestor...
We're not related, but my ancestor knighted your ancestor or something
it was
along
something
those
of that
lines.
lines, yeah, where my
ancestor was
Gordon
shitty
clan.
and got stuck somewhere, and yours saved them.
From a boar.
From a boar.
Which I learned when I originally learned the boar story of saving a nobleman from a wild boar.
A useless nobleman
Yeah.
from a pig.
Well, I learned that the English boars, wild boars, which are now extinct, were nothing to scoff at.
Yeah.
Like, they were size of like small bears.
Right.
They were huge and the reason they're extinct was because they had to kill them all because they were literally killing entire towns of people.
No, listen, this is a story I'm used to. Whenever you look into my dad's side of the genealogy, all the stories are, we were sort of pathetic and the poor people saved us. You remember Disney's Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm descendant of the lion. And my mom's
Oh,
side, I
man.
know nothing about the history, even though it's so recently not American.
That's so crazy. That'd be something cool to kind of see if there's a way to dive into, to dig
I mean, my
into
dad's really into the genealogy thing. So once he got his own line back to Charlemagne, he started trying to work on my mom's side. So he's got stuff, like I said, the Vergadamo Silver Bell Foundry
Yeah.
is still running. He's found that. They're kind of planning on going out there sometime themselves when the world is open and they
that.
can.
Yeah.
So he's working on it.
Yeah. That's
But you know, I have very few stories. I know that I think it's a great grandmother who like dramatically laid upon the church steps to try and stop a wedding. You know, the whole like you're killing me if you do this drama.
yes.
But that's kind of the only
Yeah, the biggest thing that I know is that there is a castle in Scotland that I am like 34th in line to inherit or something like
Alright.
that. So
So we need to become very efficient at 33
Well,
murders.
that was the plan until I started seeing pictures of said castle, and it's literally a foundation.
I know, we still want that thing. Imagine the great footage we could get in a castle ruin.
Oh man, but yeah, heritage is a hell of a thing.
It is.
On my mom's side, it gets muddy. It's hard to track it, but it was a lot of Dutch and Danish,
Yeah.
heritage. But it was pretty hard to track, I guess, when they came over. So I don't
Yeah.
really know much of my
Yeah,
mom's side.
that's another. I mean, it's a farther back immigration thing, but it's more in line of the immigration that I'm aware of in my family history. You know, my dad's side of stuff. I took some German in college, and my last name is Waymeyer, and the teacher was automatically like, "You're German." It's like, no, when we came over from Sweden, our name was bastardized at Ellis Island. So a lot of research when you immigrated farther back to America is just so hard once you get to the immigration point
Yeah.
because they were shitty and they didn't care. So they didn't keep good records. Or sometimes people wanted to escape their past and their lineage, and so they changed it themselves when they got to America.
Yeah, that essentially what happened with mine was we were Gordon in Scotland, and then when they came to America, they started farming rye
Sure.
and changed their name to these people of the land of rye,
Yeah, sure.
and so Ryland became my
Yeah,
last
yeah.
name. And so
I think ours was Vesemir or something with the
Gotcha.
the W at the front, and
Right,
it became Waymeyer because that's easier to spell.
way easier. Vesemir.
I could be totally wrong on what the actual thing
That
was,
honestly
but you know,
sounds like a
something
medieval villain. Count
Perfect.
Vesemir.
falls right in line with the rest
Wait.
of my history.
Yeah. Was that?
It was a Swedish name.
Yeah.
It was who knows what it was.
That's awesome.
But yeah, on my mother's side, it was Vergadamo was the name that came over recently. Recent, fourth generation. That's recent.
Yeah, no, that's like you could have 4 generations in a photo.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I mean, not every family can do that, but like
yeah.
I think we've got a photo of my dad holding my brother, big brother as a baby, and his dad and his great grandpa. So there's the 4, and my brother's like 2 months old, but there's 4
yeah.
generations in one photo.
Yeah, I think we've got one of those somewhere on my
that's-
dad's side.
But that
But
being
one of the
able to fit
generations
into
is my
one,
cousin's kids. You know,
gotcha, yeah. But like that being able to fit into one photo,
Yeah,
but
really
you being
brings
it puts it into
perspective to it.
the scale of time that
Yeah.
I mean you're an American baby on
Yeah.
one side of your family.
But then on that same side, my mother's father was Native American a lot. He had a significant portion of Native American in his heritage, like enough that he participated in tribal activities.
Right, yeah.
So, America,
Yep.
once you get a few generations out, it's,
I told you about my Native American backstory, right?
I don't know.
So on my mom's
Should I be worried?
sort of, no.
Okay.
On my mom's side, the side that we don't really know much
Mm-hmm.
about, it's full of the juiciest drama. It's great. That's why we don't really know, is because a lot of it,
Yeah.
the historical documentation has a lot of hearsay in it.
Yeah. I mean, history in general.
But yeah, so my great-grandfather, grandfather, mother, me. So full, half, quarter, eighth. So I'm 1/8, I think is Blackfoot.
Sure.
1/8 Blackfoot. But none of it can be documented because my great-grandmother got the hots for a man of the tribe and had an affair, extramarital
Oh,
affair. Yeah.
grandma.
And so had my grandfather and her husband at the time accepted him as a son,
Sure.
but treated him as, a second-class citizen. So just a lot of the documentation was destroyed
Family
because
trauma.
of that.
Hooray.
Yeah, so it's deliciously dramatic.
Oof.
But yeah, history is fun. And, bringing it all back to In the Heights, like, if you don't learn about your culture and if you
Right.
don't express your culture and if you don't embrace it, it goes away.
Yeah.
It disappears.
Goes away quickly.
Yeah. It can disappear literally within a generation.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Yep.
And I think this just does a great celebration of culture
Yeah.
that is necessary and is what makes America great, is that we are a melting pot of cultures.
We're a stew.
We are a stew. That's a better...
Melting pot is outdated. We
Yes.
don't want it all to merge into what I now experience.
Yes.
The cultural goo. You want chunks of different cultures
Yes.
floating around.
You want the stew. And that's what makes America beautiful, is that if you're hanging out in LA and then you go to, Chicago or somewhere in Texas or south of Florida or tip of Maine, like,
Yeah.
they're all America. They're all Americans, but they're all a different slice
Yeah.
of America. And you'll have a different experience in every place that you go. And it's beautiful. And I think this movie just does a great job of showing you this slice
Yeah.
of New York,
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was beautiful. And if you have the chance to watch it, please do. Watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
Because it's
I'm
great.
seeing it again on Thursday. In theaters.
So good.
Gotta see it in theaters.
Yeah, that's something I need to do. I've watched it in bed with a dog snoring on my lap.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. But it was still beautiful.
Yeah.
So, do we want to talk about what we're watching next?
Yes, another one I am excited about. It's Disney Pixar's Luca.
Which I'm really excited about, but other than the one trailer we watched for the Small Stuff episode, I literally know nothing about this movie. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to essentially go into it blind. And I know Pixar's bad with their trailers.
Yeah.
They're not good with their trailers.
Yeah.
But at least with previous Pixar movies, I'm usually inundated by
Yeah.
them.
Sure.
And this one, I think I've seen one trailer on TV, and it was while I was doing something else, so I didn't even really watch it. I
Sure.
was paying more attention to the project I was working on. So it'll be kind of interesting going into this one almost completely blind. Like,
Yeah.
the little bit that I know is that the two boys are mermaids.
Yeah.
That's about all I know.
Merman.
I'm a merman. I think now's the time to thank our patrons.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
Jenny, Jake, Pam, and Graham, you are awesome.
Like,
Thank
literally.
you so much.
We haven't been able to see a movie in theaters in over a year. So we've been having to buy premiere accesses, get different streaming services, and having you help us be able to do that has been huge. So thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you. And if you're listening to this and you want to help support the show, come visit us over at patreon.com/casualcinephilia. We put a lot of our stuff up there for free, a lot of content that we reference during our free episodes that you don't have to pay a cent to access. But if you do want to support us, we'd be grateful.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been another episode of Casual Cinephilia. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.